Yes.
All right, thank you. My name is Jakeya Johnson. I am the Executive Director of Reproductive Justice Maryland and a former congressional candidate in Maryland's 4th Congressional District. And my race was a little bit different because I ran against somewhat of a giant, somebody who probably is one of the biggest recipients of some dark money in the country. And so I got into the race because I had very strong feelings about how this person came to be in power, not necessarily because I thought that there was a viable path to victory, at least this first time. And so I feel like I went into it and I knew a lot, but I feel like I learned even more about how much money impacts elections. And it's something that feels like it just kind of happened, but it was really systemic thing that came about over time and not really new. So dark money has always been in elections, but after Citizens United was ruled in, 2010, things got really shifty. There was like almost a double in the amount of dark money and corporate money that was poured into elections. And for a while it felt like that was because corporations just wanted more power over which party they wanted in control. But I think that a lot of it was really backlash against President Obama, who, in 2008 was elected. And there was this big uproar about our first Black president because that was just unacceptable to so many people. And so what I think started as trying to prevent more people of color from rising to positions of power turned into this bipartisan effort to have corporations really control who gets to serve in office. And I think that there's really only one thing that we can do to combat dark money in politics, and it's just organizing. In places where we've seen really big progressive wins, like New York and Ohio and Maine, all those wins have come from really deep organizing. And I think that's something that we definitely can do here in Maryland, but it's something that takes time, it's something that takes a lot of effort and a lot of engagement. And there are lots of really great people, many of them in this room right now, who've been working towards exactly that. But it just, this election cycle didn't give us the wins that we'd hoped for in a lot of places. I was really excited to see some people get really close, like Josie, and then there were others who I feel like put in the hard work, people who knocked doors and made phone calls and talked to voters and did all the right things, but money came out on top. And so I've been kind of wrestling with this idea of what can we do immediately to change things, because we know that organizing is a long game, but what can we do now, because we can't live like this forever. And so that's something that I'm still kind of tussling with. I've been talking to other advocates, other really great people who ran across the county at different levels to try and figure out how we can come together and figure out the best way to move forward. I was really fortunate to get to meet a lot of really great people throughout this process. And organizing has been something that has been really important to me for most of my life. I grew up in Alabama. I went to the University of Alabama for undergrad, and a very different environment than when I moved here to Maryland. And I appreciate that I got to have both those experiences. They're incredibly different political environments, incredibly different living environments, and so I think they really shaped how I view politics, how I view advocacy as a whole. But I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second.
Organizing, it takes a long time.
I will be very transparent. I'm working on 3 hours of sleep right now. I was up at 7 a.m. to be in Baltimore for an event, and I'm tired. But yeah, organizing has always been something that's really important to me, and something that I think led me to run for office. This is my first run for office, and it was something that I kind of decided to do on a whim. I was trying to convince other people to run against this guy who be a really great progressive candidate because he had the most money. And that's not my opinion. That's something that he said out of his own mouth. So I'm just like, we need to change this. We need to get somebody who is at least going to put enough pressure to give us better. And everyone, you know, when I approached them to have that conversation, it was, well, what about my political future? Or what happens if, you know, I upset the powers that be and I can't run for office in the future? And I was like, well, somebody has to not care about that. Somebody has to care more about the people of this community than they do about what they can be in 5 years or so. And so I made that decision. I had no misconceptions about what that would look like. There was no way that we were going to raise millions of dollars. But I thought we might not be able to outraise, but we can definitely out-organize. And so on a shoestring budget, we knocked doors, we made phone calls, we sent text messages, we held events, we did all the right things, but without the big dollars, it really is just so much you can do when it comes to scale. And you know, I think the results of the race reflected that, but I think that it did really show that organizing, doing the groundwork, having a really strong field program can have the power to overpower big money, but we just have to kind of get there. So I'm excited to hear thoughts from everyone else, you know, what you've learned, what the process has been, and how we think we can move forward in this fight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can you push the button?